Right. They didn't recognize because the knowledge, the game knowledge, is not developed in the academy. But also the skill is not developed. These officers did not have the same skills. So in that study, and you could go to our website and get the study as well, we made 10,000 videos on skill acquisition and perishability in 3 major state police academies, primarily responsible for training all of the police officers in the state. And we found the traditional method of instruction, as you know, from your science background on the psychology of learning, their methods of instruction defied all the principles of the science of learning. They were taught in block and silo. They spent on average 400 to about 800 hours of instruction on all of their skill level. And so they never developed their skill very well. And by time they graduated, the critical components of those skills were gone. So if we looked at weapon takeaway, you'd have to control the weapon.
Yes.
Okay, so you've got to grab it first. In the effort to grab, 2/3 of them missed grabbing the weapon, and it was a compliant subject who didn't move the weapon.
Yeah.
By time of graduation, most of the skills were gone. So when we look at the effect of high pulse levels, high stress levels on motor performance issues, before we start attributing the degradation of skills to stress, let's look at how those skills were not developed. And then look at, rather than stress, look at the speed of the response that's required. I have been putting keys in a lock since I was 6 years old. I lived in a very violent neighborhood in the homicide capital of Canada. And if I kept my bike out, it was gone. And if the house was open, somebody broke in. So it was always locked. So since I've been 6, I've been putting keys in the lock. If I go to my car and try to stick the key in the lock as fast as I can on the column, or I go to my house and I try to put the key in and the lock on the door as fast as I can, my behavior falls apart.
Yes.
Because I don't have a motor program that operates at that speed. And one of the things we found in officers under stress is they try to escalate the speed, the intensity of their behavior, and that causes fine motor skills to fall apart. Now,
so they operate at a speed which they cannot handle. Is that what you're saying?
They've never practiced it.
They've never practiced it. Yeah.
It's like this. I mean, if I tried to double the speed with which I put a key in a lock,
yeah,
and I've been doing that for, I hate to tell you how many decades, but it's a really long time. If I change the speed, I don't have a motor program that's automatic that makes it work.
No.
And now the behavior falls apart. And so when we look at this, some of the elements that we may want to look at in regulation of performance under stress is make sure the skills are really good.
Yeah.
And then we'll look at other sorts of things.
So the foundation is